Hey everybody, it's Juanita McDowell from the Real Estate Technology Institute, and welcome to our webinar, The Power of Excel for Agents. I started teaching Excel for agents several years ago, and I found there were a lot of agents that found it useful, but they were a little bit intimidated with Excel. So what I want to accomplish today in this webinar, I want to discuss the uses of Microsoft Excel for a real estate professional, and I actually want to teach you just some basic Excel tips that will help you get started. And in fact, I'm going to grab hold to one big use of Excel, and I want to run with that and actually show you some strategies and tips. There's several uses of Excel if you're a real estate agent, and one would be calculations if you're doing any kind of rent versus buy, or maybe you have two offers and you want to look at the best offer, you want to look at the numbers. You can use Excel for calculations. The focus area in today's webinar will be on the database features of Excel, but there are other uses as well. And in fact, you can use it for social media, and I'll show you that as well, because HubSpot gives you a great template that you can actually download called the Social Media Calendar. And it will basically allow you to plan out all of your social media. And from that, you can determine what and when you're going to post up on what platform. So we'll get into that shortly. But just let's talk about some basic uses of Excel. It really does make your life a lot easier. There are times when you are doing things by hand, or you're trying to show a client, as an example, something simple. It's time to stop renting, because in this market you can buy and have the same payment. But rather than say that, show them. People believe what they see as well as what they hear. So Excel gives you an opportunity to do that. There's also buyer or seller closing cost estimates that you can actually use and take advantage of in Excel. And oh, by the way, you're not having to create these templates. They're already done for you. And we'll show you how to look for those in just a minute. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have two offers on a home and you're trying to convince a client that we have to consider all of the factors. If we accept offer number one, we may have this. If we have accept offer number two, we may not have that, but you know what? We also have this. So all of this and that gets confusing. Use an Excel spreadsheet to put all the numbers down on paper. This is an example. You have a list price of one value and a list price offer of another value. And as you can see, you can just roll them down until you get the answer you want, which is, which offer should I accept? And this is a very basic example, but you get the idea. Put in all the different factors and then look at the last number and see which one looks like a better deal. Then there's also one that's near and dear to my heart, because I was a loan officer at one time. And it's the how much you can afford worksheet. There are several of these online. Want to make sure that you know about them, because sometimes your clients, and I'm speaking as a loan officer or a former loan officer, sometimes your client can get a little excited and say, I want to buy a house. It's $250,000 is what I qualify for. But is that really what you can afford? All right. Now let me just share with you guys, there are mortgage repayment accelerators, and this is where you look really smart. When a client has closed with you and you're offering value still after the closing, they remember you and they refer people to you. So here's an example. You closed Sue Smith, and Sue Smith loves you to death. You did a great job finding her the perfect house. And then later on, you're trying to stay in touch. You want to send her anything of value. It could be about maintaining the house, or it could be something like this. This is an Excel spreadsheet that is a mortgage repayment accelerator, and what you can do is give her instructions. Hey Sue, if you pay an additional principal amount of $100, look how much you will save in interest over the 30-year period. Again, this is something so easy to just send. All of these templates, again, are already created for you. You don't have to create them. Let me show you how you access them. When you open Excel, and if you're already using Excel, you're simply going to go to the File tab, search the office.com for templates, type in real estate, and as you can see, there are lots of templates, one of which is the loan calculator with extra payment option, as well as several others. All you need to do is click on that template and open it up. I mentioned doing funnels and pipeline worksheets. As you can see, just type in pipeline worksheet, and there you go. Lots of templates already created. You don't have to create them yourself. Please keep track of your clients, and you know where they're from, how they found you, and what their estimated closing time would be. I'm part of a tech support group on Facebook, and I love the conversations that go back and forth. And one that I remember distinctly was someone asked, does anybody ever use Excel? Is it still something that agents use? And one agent answered quite eloquently, yes. And here's what her response was. I track the number of transactions, seller versus buyer versus referral. I track commissions, my goals, including the number of listings, the buyer appointments, phone calls, blog posts, mailers, contracts, written and closed. And of course, I have my spreadsheet for online leads and where they come from. I update that daily. No big surprise, this person is organized and probably has a very successful real estate practice. So here's a question. What are you using for your leads? If you're not using Excel, make sure you're using something. I think it comes down to really creating the database, and this is where I want to focus our webinar today, on Excel as a database tool, because I find so many people are missing out on that. I'm hoping your database does not look like this, or even worse, like that, or even worse, a pile of cards. Here's the deal. If you keep track of potential leads, you're going to have more business in the end. So certainly Excel can be used as a database tool. It works well with Word, which allows you to do labels and print things out, which is one reason that I like it. And I want to show you today how you can use Excel as a database tool. So here's the question. Where are your contacts right now? Let's just get this out in the open. Where are they? Now, I asked this in class, and a lot of students say, hey, they're in my phone, which is fine, but that won't allow us to use all the features that help us maintain our database, because the phone just doesn't have enough functionality for maintaining a database. Now, some people say, well, I use Outlook. That's fine. It's better than nothing. Gmail, that's better than nothing. Again, if you have an agent intranet, I'm okay with that. I personally would like you to use something more robust, like a CRM. But for right now, let's deal with using something. And for this webinar, we're going to talk about using Excel. Some people keep them in their social media. But again, let's just focus on Excel. And here's one thing that I want you to do. When you get a business card, make sure you put that in your phone, because I'm going to show you shortly an app that will allow you to export your contacts out of your phone into an Excel spreadsheet. Very slick. But just so we're all on the same page, when you get someone's business card, now you have two choices: store it in a pocket or in your coat jacket or your purse. But I would recommend you use an app that will scan that business card and get it into your phone. Now I'm going to tell you, these are some apps that will do that. But the contacts to Excel, which is the second bullet, will actually allow you to take all of those contacts out of your phone and export them into an Excel spreadsheet. Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Let me tell you what it's called. Contacts to Excel. It is, yes, free. It won't cost you anything. And these are some of the features of this particular app. Not only can you export the contacts to an Excel spreadsheet or CSV sheet, but look at all the other things you can do. You can find contacts to include by searching through all the fields. You can set the order of columns and rename column labels and some other things that the app would really be beneficial for you with. A snapshot of using the app, and as you can see, I had it emailed to myself, which is a spreadsheet with all the contacts that were in my phone. All right, so let's do a couple little things with Excel just to familiarize you with it. I do not assume that everybody actually is familiar with Excel, and in fact, if this webinar has motivated you, then let's go ahead and give you just some basic Excel tips under your belt. What I call the fundamentals. Excel spreadsheet is simply one page of cells, columns, rows. You're looking at one right now. At the very top of every Excel program is a ribbon, and you're looking at what the ribbon does. It consists of tabs, it consists of groups, It consists of commands, and yes, that little tiny arrow right there is a dialog box launcher, which has even more controls. The key is, the way I want you to learn Excel is to take each tab one at a time, find out what commands are on that ribbon for that particular tab, and you can do it by groups. So what you're looking at now is the Home tab that appears, and if, for instance, we want to paste, we would go to the Clipboard group and tap the Paste command. Let's look at that again. Home tab. Now let's look at the Font group, and if you tap the B, you would be bolding your text. So that's the best way to take Microsoft programs and learn them slowly but thoroughly. And don't forget that dialog launcher. So the ribbon has several things that are important for you. One is at the top, the Quick Access toolbar, which allows you to move commands there, and you can access things quickly, very quickly. And that's actually beneficial to you because you don't have to find them on the ribbon. That tab you're looking for may not be showing, and you're going, which tab was that? So if you know that you use, for instance, a sum, or even you're emailing Excel spreadsheets, then go ahead and add those commands to the Quick Access toolbar. You're looking now at the Backstage view or the File tab. You hit Escape to get out of the Backstage view, but this is just a tip again. If you're not using Excel, let's just take it slow. Let's look at this picture because I want to make sure that I want to identify for you some of the basics of an Excel spreadsheet. Number one, you should know exactly that every time that you open up an Excel spreadsheet, you're going to see a few things. At the very top, you're going to see a name box and a formula bar. You'll see the FX feature. You're also going to see column letters, A, B, C, and so forth, and also row numbers, 1, 2, 3. At the very bottom of the sheet, you're going to see sheet numbers. So a worksheet is contained in a workbook. So we're looking at a workbook that has 3 sheets, which by default, my Excel program is set to 3 worksheets. And I can click on each one and start operating Excel. When you see a black line surrounding a box, that is your active cell. So now you can begin typing. So how do I create a simple database in Excel? Well, let's start with a few basics, and we'll start with the do's and don'ts. Don't leave empty rows or columns, no matter what. Do have a single title row at the top of your sheet, and do put minimal information into a sheet to later sort and filter, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. But as an example of what's incorrect is you'll notice this sample sheet at the bottom. We have a contact with a first and last name, or rather that person separate out have a column for first name and a column for last name. Then there's the issue of the city, state, and zip all being in one column. Not good. We want minimal information in each column. So those are just some things to remember when you create your simple database in Excel. Now let's go to Excel and do a quick little lab. So now that you know the importance of Excel and how a real estate agent can use it, we're going to do a quick lab, and the lab is going to go as follows. I am going to give you some Excel tips and vocabulary. I'm going to teach you how to enter data, how to navigate within the worksheet, how to sort and filter your information, how to add a form to your program, meaning to your Quick Access toolbar. You're going to love this little trick, but it will help you basically enter data and filter without having to go all the way across and down the spreadsheet. You're going to bring the data to you, a trick that very few people know, and then you're going to learn how to use Excel for your social media calendar. Let's go. First of all, how do you create a worksheet? First of all, you need to understand that when you open up Excel, you need to go to the Info tab simply because you need to make sure that if it's a private workbook, you want to protect it. So you would click on Protect Workbook. This would give you an opportunity to lock the workbook and not have it changed. You might want to just leave it open where anyone can open it, edit it, and that's fine. But you need to know that this feature is there. When you open up Excel, you end up on, by default, the first cell, which is the first row and the first column. So with this workbook, you have a couple of things you can do. You can start entering data. After you enter data, you press enter. It automatically takes you to the next cell, which is A2, A1, A2, A3. You're doing that just by pressing enter on your keyboard. If you ever change your mind, then all you have to do is hit escape. So that means if you were typing or if you went to one row and you didn't want to, hit escape and get back to the previous row. All right, so now the big question is, how big is the spreadsheet? It's huge. You'll have more space, trust me, than you need. Just so you know, Control A always selects the whole entire worksheet. Important to know in case you want to change the fonts or the color, etc. Okay, so if I were entering a database for the first time in Excel, I purchased the program or it's sitting on my computer, the first thing I would do is I would select all with Control A, or I would actually click on the Control A in the corner and I would actually move these. All of my columns would need to be wider and the height of my rows would need to be a little bit higher. So there we go. I will start typing first name. I can hit Tab to move across the rows and type. And then I could start entering my information. Now, let me just say this about a phone number in Excel. If I start typing and I hit enter, you'll notice it doesn't look like a phone number. So how do I cure that? Well, what I can do is click in this row, and what I need to do is do Control 1 as a shortcut key, and that's going to allow me to format my cell. I'm going to click on Special. I'm going to click on Phone Number, and I'm going to say OK. Now I automatically have the right format for a phone number. And really what I needed to do was click the whole entire column. Again, repeat that process so every number I type in this column will actually be in the format that I want. So that would be how you would type in data. Not that hard. But how do you navigate your worksheet? Well, you can use the arrow keys that will get you down and across. You can navigate by hitting enter. You can use the arrow keys to go across. You can also use the tab key to go across. When you want to get to a different tab down below, just click on the different tab. Now we've landed here. Okay, next I promised to show you how to sort and filter. And the way you're going to do that is look at the very top row. Remember what requirement we said when using Excel is that you make sure you have a top row with information. Very important. Now to sort and filter, you're going to create a table using a shortcut Control T, and that's going to automatically grab all your data, say OK, and now you have an Excel spreadsheet, lovely, with a top row that you can filter. So let me show you why this is beneficial, because now what I can do is say I want to find all of my past clients that live in Atlanta. So I can simply click down and select all and say no, only show me Atlanta, say OK, and now I'm only seeing my past clients from Atlanta. And you'll see the filter that comes up here, and I'll show you on the Home tab. And that's how you would do that. Of course, you could sort and filter right here as well. But this is automatically giving you the ability to sort and filter. I can select all and say OK, and I'm back to where I started. But that's the best way to sort and filter. You can go across these other channels by maybe zip codes. You can actually pick out a certain zip code. And likewise with even the names. So you can say first names. You can actually look at the, alphabetical listings, or just find one person. Here you want to look at individually instead of everyone. So now I'm back on a spreadsheet that is the Hot Prospects spreadsheet. And I'm going to show you that trick I promised to show you. How do I actually find my contacts information that's not showing up on the screen? Well, one way to do it, and not one that I prefer, is to go all the way across until I find that information. And then I can enter that information. But the problem with that is, if I'm all the way down here, then I have to make sure I freeze the screen. That's just a hassle. Let me show you the quickest way of doing it. It's going to require that you have a form on your quick access toolbar. So let me show you how you get the form. You're going to come up to the quick access toolbar, which I shared with you earlier. You're going to right click and you're going to say customize quick access toolbar. Remember, these are the functions you want to reach and click on right away. Maybe you use them all the time. That's going to bring up this particular dialog box, and now say all commands. Come down and look for form. It's right there, and then add it. Mine has already been added, so if I click add, it's going to say you've already added it. I know. So say okay. Now okay, for you it's not there by default, so you'll actually see your form appear. Now what's so lovely about this form? I can be all the way down the sheet. It doesn't matter where I am on my spreadsheet, over and across. But if I'm trying to get to the first person on my spreadsheet, when I click on form, there we have it. I can see Benton, who's first, and all of his information because I can come down here and click. So I'm not having to go all the way across the spreadsheet to change, update, or delete information. This is the best way to do it. And then of course I can, once I find Glenda, then I can always just say, find next. And it's showing me all the way down my fields. The beautiful thing about this is I can also create a brand new database record right from this form. So I'm not having to type and then go across the spreadsheet. Very important. I can even delete the record if I wanted to. And also important, I can actually establish criteria for what I want to look for. So if I'm looking for, say, a particular contact date or even a last name, then I can establish that as criteria and it's going to find that person or that person for me. Very important feature to learn. And last on our agenda, I want to show you how to use Excel for your social media calendar. Many of you may be familiar with HubSpot, and I think there's maybe even some type of tutorial on one of their tools in the RETI library. But I want to make sure that you understand that they have a wonderful social media content calendar. If you Google HubSpot and social media content calendar, it's going to bring up your ability to download a free template, which happens to be in Excel, and I'm going to share that with you shortly. But this particular post on February 12th, 2016 gives you a preview of why you need the calendar, what the calendar does, and some examples of how to use it to plan out your social media content journey. All right, so in addition to follow these steps, let's go to the spreadsheet and take a look. This is the content calendar that I downloaded. It is an Excel spreadsheet. You'll see the first tab is how to use this calendar, which is very detailed and defined, so I'll let you explore that. Then you'll have the monthly planning calendar that you can color code. You have your blog post, you're doing webinars, anything that you're wanting to share, put it in the calendar. Then there are Twitter updates and Facebook updates. What I love about this calendar is not only does it give you the date and time, that for Twitter you have a 140 character limit, so you can actually type something here and the spreadsheet is automatically set up to calculate how many characters so that you don't exceed the 140 character limit. This is a great day. You click here, it's going to tell you you're good shape, 21 characters, and so forth all the way down as you plan your Twitter update calendar. And you see not only the date, but the times in which you're sending tweets can be planned. Facebook updates, there's no limit, but as you can see, you can actually get more information and you can make sure that your Facebook updates are planned accordingly with not only the day of the week, but the time as well. The message, any links you want to set up, etc. It allows all of your digital marketing to come together in a nice, neat place. And I hope you can take advantage of this. I hope I've inspired you to use Excel now that you see the many uses for it. And I am going to open up for questions right now and of anything that's about Excel or about using Excel for your real estate business.